Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in again today. I wanted to hop on here and do a quick review and comparison of two new drugstore foundations I picked up a couple weeks ago. And this is the Revlon Photoready Airbursh Mousse Makeup and the Maybelline Dream Nude Airfoam foundation. So these are both foundations that came out in early 2012, January, and I was really interested in them because it's just a very different concept of a foundation that comes in a can that is a moussey or foamy consistency. So I picked these up a couple weeks ago, have been trying them out, and I'm just going to be sharing a quick review on each and then a little bit of a comparison. So I'm going to start with the Revlon Photoready Airbursh Mousse. Now this is definitely a mousse product. I'm going to go ahead and show you how it applies. It has a little bit of a nozzle applicator here and a flammability warning, so don't keep this stored next to anything hot, a heater, a curling iron, definitely something to be aware of. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how this applies. It kind of has a very bubbly texture. As you can see there, the bubbles are sort of breaking as they are sitting there. So it's a very creamy and bubbly, moussey texture. Now I'm going to go ahead and break this and show you what that looks like. As you break it, it turns into almost more of a liquidy cream consistency, much more similar to your standard cream liquid foundation. Now this one has a medium to full coverage, which I was a little bit surprised by as being a mousse. I just assumed mousse usually is pretty lightweight. So for having a medium to full coverage, I would definitely say that this is still lightweight on the skin though. So it's going to feel less heavy than your traditional liquid photo ready foundation. So there you can kind of get a feel for the coverage. And you don't need to use a lot of this product. Really, that amount probably could cover half or maybe even 3/4 of your face. In terms of application, my favorite way to apply this product has been directly onto a brush head and then to dot it all over my face as a way of sort of breaking the bubbles and then getting that more airbrushed finish. A lot of the people that I've seen review this product have suggested putting it onto the back of their hand. I personally don't recommend that because you're popping the bubbles onto your hand versus popping the bubbles onto your face, which sort of defeats the purpose of having it dispensed in this kind of moussey can sort of way. So I would recommend a brush like this that is a buffer brush that's tapered, that is very fluffy, and you can just dot it and then buff it around your face. Now I will say this has a very thin consistency, so when you're blending it with a brush, you're definitely going to see a lot of streakiness, a lot of those individual marks that you can get from brush hairs. So just beware of that. When you're done blending it, you can go back and layer a little bit more onto the areas you want more coverage, but I would always recommend going through with either a sponge or a flat top brush or your fingers and just smoothing out, either just stippling and smoothing out any of those brush marks. As it dries, you'll be able to kind of do that a little bit better. The last thing I'm going to say, well, one of the last things I'm going to say is this foundation definitely has the signature photo ready shimmer to it. So if you're not a fan of those kind of glimmery, shimmery particles in your makeup, I would not recommend this. And also, I didn't find that it wore as long or controlled oil as well as the original Photo Ready foundation. It did have a nice finish, it had great coverage, and it was very lightweight, but it's in terms of longevity and oil control, it did not work as well for me as someone with normal to oily skin. I would give this foundation a wear time of 7 hours, 6 or 7 hours. Towards the end of the day, you're definitely see an oily T-zone if you have oily skin. Moving on to the Maybelline Dream Nude Airfoam foundation. This again is another Airfoam air propeller mousse foundation. This one doesn't have a warning label on it, so I don't know if that means that this one is not flammable. They are a little different. This one, when you shake it, you can hear that it's a mousse, almost exactly the same consistency as a hair mousse. So you can hear the liquid shaking around inside. This one, you can't hear anything. So it's a little bit different. I think that it's a thicker liquid in the bottle, and then when the air comes out, it puts bubbles into it, and this one is, I don't know, it's a little different. But I'm going to show you the texture of this one. Now, as you can see, this one came out a lot faster with a lot more product. It also has less bubbles. It's more of your traditional foam type texture. Now, this one, I'm going to show you how it breaks down. Again, just like your typical hair mousse, more like. It has a very thin consistency again, and more of a light to medium coverage. Now, that was something that really turned me off originally when I heard about this product, and I will say I was worried about the coverage level being too light on this one, but I appreciated the fact that it was a buildable coverage. I like a foundation that can cover up my blemishes, cover up my freckles, and in a first layer, it definitely did not, but I did find that I could go back and build it on top and add a little bit of coverage. So the Nude Airfoam does not have any sparkle particles to it at all, so I do like that about it as well. I also found this one to be a little more long wearing and also a little bit better with controlling oil. So if you are of normal to oily skin, I would really recommend this one. I was very doubtful with having this be a light to medium coverage that it would actually wear long at all. I had considered even returning it before I even tried it because I had heard kind of bad reviews, and I've been really pleasantly surprised by this one. I appreciate the fact that it's light, it's buildable, it doesn't have any shimmer in it, it's long wearing, and I haven't had any issues with oiliness. I really reached for this one a lot when I was testing both of these out. I found myself wanting to reach for this one a little bit more. I recommend applying it the same way, putting the foam on top of a brush and then stippling it around the face, blending it. Again, the consistency is very thin on this one, so you're going to have to be careful, make sure you get rid of all those stroke marks. In general, between the two, I really prefer the Dream Nude Airfoam. I'm not really quite sure why. I didn't have any issues with breakouts with either of these, which I was happy about. But between the two, I really liked the finish of this one better. I liked that it was more long wearing, better at controlling my oil. I also liked the consistency of it being a little bit more of a traditional foam, whereas this one had a more creamy, bubbly texture. I like that this one was just a straight foam. I found it a little bit easier to apply. And yeah, I mean, I think they're both hard to control the amount of product that you dispense from the top. But, you know, just try to use a light hand, start with a little bit, and like I said, I wouldn't recommend putting it on top of your hand to apply because then you're just going to be losing product there. You're going to be bursting the bubbles there. But all in all, I think it's a really cool concept for a foundation, especially from the drugstore. I've really enjoyed both of them. I'm not sure that I would repurchase just because it does take a little extra blending time in the morning. It is a little bit more finicky, but I have really liked both of them. So I would highly recommend checking them out. If you have maybe a drier skin type or you like that like more luminous, dewy, sparkly in your foundations, I would maybe try the Photoready one. Again, this one has more coverage, but I found that it wore not as long. And this one still has a really nice dewy natural look. So I think if you're a fan of tinted moisturizers or really no fuss, no frills foundation, you would probably like this one, but I do appreciate that you can build it up in certain areas without it looking cakey. This one, because you're starting with so much more coverage right away, I probably wouldn't recommend building this one because I could see it becoming cakey very quick. All in all, I don't know that I would repurchase either of these just because I personally prefer a liquid foundation in terms of application. I find it easier, but I do think that both of these are really solid products. In the end, it's really up for you to decide if you are interested in trying out a moussey texture foundation. I think that this is kind of something fun and different if you're looking for something new. They may or may not be easy to travel with, so that's something to keep in mind. A lot of the times you can't travel with aerosol in the air, so definitely something to consider. But I don't think either of these products are gimmicks. I think they're both solid foundations. It's just really up to you to decide what you're looking for in a foundation. If you're looking for something with really good coverage that's going to be really long wearing, I probably wouldn't recommend either of these. But if you're looking for something just for every day to even out your skin tone, I think that these are great options. Just definitely be cognizant of longevity, because I didn't find that either of these were very long wearing, but between the two, I did think, for me personally, I enjoyed the Maybelline Nude Airfoam a little bit better. So all in all, I would recommend either of these products. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment below. If there's anything I forgot to touch on, I'd be happy to get back to you. Thanks for watching. Bye.